Stepping up to the couch, it's Brian, who led the league last season in cracked screens. But with his new athletic case, it looks like that won't be the case. Touchdown, Brian!
Before the 2014-15 season, LeBron James decided to begin the next chapter of his career on the Cleveland Cavaliers. LeBron was the perfect exemplification of the modern NBA superstar. LeBron was, and still is by the way, a physical monster. 6'8", 250 pounds of pure muscle, his dominance on the court came from his physicality, matched with his skill. Guys like LeBron have always been some of the best players in the league. Physical beasts who could bend the defense to their will with their athleticism. But the 2015 season wouldn't be the season of LeBron James, it would be the season of Stephen Curry. There was a shift not only in between stars, but a shift in how the game is played. Curry dominated basketball like LeBron, just in a different way. Curry, who is 6'3", 190 pounds soaking wet, dominated basketball with his three-point shooting ability. A 6'3" scrawny guy was going toe-to-toe with a freight train. Now I know 6'3" seems tall to some people, but I'm 6'3", and I see people my height all the time. I don't really run into guys who are 6'8" all the time. Unlike Curry, I am a little bit over 190 pounds, but we don't need to talk about that. Anyways, Curry as well as Klay Thompson set the league on fire with their shooting from behind the arc. This spawned in a new era of basketball, the three-point shooting era. Now you've read the title, you probably think I'm about to hate on the three-point shooting era. Well, no, not really. As a matter of fact, there aren't a lot of people who like the three-point shooting era more than me. I love this brand of basketball. Stephen Curry is probably my favorite player to watch. When he goes off, it's unlike any other performance in basketball. When LeBron or Harden or Anthony Davis go off, it's a performance, while when Curry goes off, it's an event. Shit's amazing and incredibly fun to watch. Now, I do miss mid-range jumpers. Rest in peace mid-range jumpers 1891 to 2014. Well, actually, they aren't totally dead. Shout out to DeMar DeRozan. I'm not trying to be like Charles Barkley and every other crusty-ass old former NBA player on Players Only Night saying shit like, oh, they're shooting too many three-pointers. Back in my day, you either took a layup or death. The three-point era is great, and honestly, I'm glad the game has more of an avenue for the average-sized person to find a place in the league. Even an avenue to dominate the league, as Stephen Curry has proven. Let's be real. Trae Young wouldn't survive in the modern NBA without his three-point shot. Well, I know it's not going in, but you'd have to be an idiot to think the guy can't shoot. So, with that being said, this is the longest intro of all time, but let's get on to the negatives of the Stephen Curry three-point era. Now, as I've said, I love Curry and I love threes. But the problem here is I feel like we've traded a few things that I personally love. All this will be coming from a fan's perspective, not an analytical basketball nerd perspective, because, well, I couldn't argue against the team shooting tons of threes. Analytics-wise, offenses are getting more and more efficient, scoring more and more points. The rise in points and efficiency has come with the rise of the three-pointers. Teams have replaced long twos by superstars with three-pointers. It's simple math. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure 3 is more than 2. But with how my comments look sometimes, I wouldn't be all that surprised if someone argued that 2 was more than 3. Anyways, from a pure basketball perspective, yes, threes are the way to go, but I do, like I said, miss mid-range jumpers. I mean, Kobe Bryant is my favorite player of all time. Most of that has to do with his mid-range game. I realize that I am an outlier here, but I actually find more enjoyment out of the beauty and grace of, say, Kobe's mid-range game than a ferocious poster dunk. I realize that's just me, but whatever. On top of the death of the mid-range game, again RIP, the post-game has also seen a significant drop. While there are certainly guys still keeping it alive, it's not what it used to be. Another thing is the predictability stability of offense. Look at a guy like James Harden. Harden has been getting a lot of attention lately, as I'm sure you know. A lot of that positive, but because the human brain naturally tends to focus on the negative, hence why I just talk shit about my comment section even though 90% of the comments are positive or constructive. A lot of the stuff I've been hearing about Harden has at the very least felt negative. Despite the fantastic numbers he's putting up, a lot of this has to do with the blatant way he draws fouls, which is unrelated to the video, but I feel the main reason people dislike Harden, and I know for damn sure the reason my dad dislikes Harden, is because of how predictable and just kinda boring and repetitive Harden can be. Now don't get me wrong, the crossovers can be fun, but he essentially does the same moves over and over. He does a couple of crossovers, and then he either gets by his defender for a layup, or he takes a step back three. There's nothing his defenders can do one-on-one against him, because unlike ISO players in the past, Harden has spacing. It's impossible to double Harden because he'd just kick it to a shooter like Eric Gordon or PJ Tucker, James Ennis, Gerald Green. In the past, he had Ryan Anderson plus the 5 games that Chris Paul has been healthy in his 2 seasons on the Rockets. Because of spacing, ISO play has become more simplified to just step back threes or drive it to the basket. Continuing to use Kobe as an example, in his era, you had to do more to score one-on-one because often you would end up in a situation where it wasn't one-on-one. When you have a bunch of non-shooters on the perimeter, you get double teamed a lot, which makes you have to be more creative in the way you get space and get by defenders. This requires a more advanced skill set in isolation. So basically, spacing has led to simplification of isolation offense, which to me has made the game a little less fun to watch. And I also feel like sometimes teams are a little too happy to take threes, pulling up for wild threes on the fast break, taking the first shot with a little space, taking those shots simply because they are threes. However, these are just nitpicks, little annoyances that have came with the change of the league. You take the negatives with the positives. The beauty and grace of the mid-range game has been replaced by the grace and beauty of the pull-up three-pointer. I just flipped grace and beauty there because I'm running out of adjectives. I can take some and lose some, but the one major thing that has come with the three-point era that drives me up the fucking wall, one thing that is an annoyance that I have to deal with on NBA Twitter every single day, and really it doesn't have anything to do with the actual game at all. No, this has to do with players' perceptions from the NBA fan base. Okay, so the big reveal. What about the three-point era pisses me off so much? Well, have you ever heard this, or maybe seen it on a Twitter thread is the more common place to see it? Shoot it, you coward! Haha, Ben Simmons can't even shoot and you think he's good? Laughing my ass off. Jesus Christ, does this piss me off. The idea that if you cannot shoot a three-pointer, you are bad is the most annoying thing about the three-point era. You can't be a good basketball player if you can't shoot. Do you know how many people legitimately think that Andre Roberson is a bad player simply because he cannot shoot a three-pointer? I realize it's probably only a small sample of people who think this way. It's really probably not as bad as it feels to me, but damn it, it annoys me enough to make a video on it. This also applies to guys like Giannis. Go under any Giannis clip. This man could do a 360 windmill poster dunk in traffic from the free throw line, and there would still be some dumbass in the comments like, oh, can he shoot a three-pointer though? Or LOL, 17% from 3, you call this guy good? Like, what the fuck? This dude Giannis might be the most impressive physical specimen the NBA has ever seen. He's averaging 26, 12, and 6 on 58% shooting from the fucking field. And there are still dudes who will nitpick his three-point percentage. Remember how I said earlier in the video that the league was dominated by super athletes, but now that Curry has ushered in a new era, there's an opportunity for smaller players to dominate alongside them? Well, some people seem to have taken this and decided that if you can't shoot, you are bad, and those same super athletes are below the average person who can shoot a three-pointer. So those super athletes are irrelevant if they can't hit a three-point jump shot. This has compelled guys like Russell Westbrook, who can't really shoot, to shoot threes like crazy. Also, that has a little bit to do with low IQ. And Dwayne Wade has done it in the past couple of seasons as well. This can even carry over to all-time debates. One of the arguments that I see against Jordan for the GOAT is the idea that he isn't as good as LeBron because LeBron is a better three-point shooter, even though that completely ignores the context of eras, which is a whole nother topic. But in the 80s and 90s, three-pointers weren't taken, so of course Michael Jordan wasn't shooting that many or making that many three-pointers. It's quite simple to understand, but for whatever reason it seems to go right over people's heads. So basically, in conclusion, the three-point era has simplified isolation offense and offense in general. I do miss mid-range shots, and the notion that if you cannot shoot, you cannot be that good pisses me off to my core. I don't know why I'm wearing a denim jacket. But shout out to the NBA Storyteller for this fire-ass merch. I'm hoping this free promo will get me free shirts. Anyways, that's the end of this video. Please be sure to like and subscribe for more NBA